Inter-Caribbean Airways will commence scheduled airlift between Barbados and St. Kitts as of 12 March 2023, according to information from the St. Kitts Tourism Authority. The new service will make it easier for travelers from St. Kitts to connect with the southern eastern Caribbean countries and Guyana via Barbados. Inter-Caribbean previously operated chartered service into St. Kitts. Minister of Tourism Marsha Henderson commented on the Inter-Caribbean service into St. Kitts and Nevis that will operate into the Robert L. Bratcher International Airport.
The St. Kitts Tourism Authority has negotiated with Inter-Caribbean Airways to initiate service from Barbados and Puerto Rico into St. Kitts, affording travelers same-day travel options with one-stop service to the wider Caribbean. Service out of the Grantley Adams International Airport, Barbados, is scheduled to commence on Sunday, 12th March 2023, with the service to Puerto Rico being announced shortly thereafter. An Embraer 120 aircraft with a seating capacity of 30 will service St. Kitts from Barbados 3 times weekly on Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, with one-stop connectivity via Barbados to the islands of Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Dominica, and Guyana. To book flights with Inter-Caribbean Airways, visit www.intercaribbean.com or contact your local travel advisor. This development is undoubtedly significant for St. Kitts and Nevis and the entire region. Economic viability remains a crucial area of focus as we work towards creating a self-sufficient state.
Lyndon Gardner, the chairman of Inter-Caribbean Airways, said, quote, "The addition of service between St. Kitts and Barbados allows us to connect regions like never before. We are excited to continue expanding access to intra-Caribbean travel and doing our part to drive further tourism recovery across the region," end quote. Inter-Caribbean Airways is headquartered in the Turks and Caicos Islands and has been expanding its service throughout the region. It has a fleet of 16 aircraft that include the Twin Otter, the Embraer EMB 120, and the Embraer ERJ 145 regional jet. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline. Lawmakers in the National Assembly of St. Kitts and Nevis passed the Anti-Corruption Bill 2023, the Integrity in Public Life Amendment Bill, and the Freedom of Information Amendment Bill 2023 during a lengthy sitting of the Parliament that took them into late evening. The legislations will become law when they are officially sanctioned by the Governor General and then gazetted. Some MPs raised concerns over sections of some bills before amendments were made in the committee stage. Leader of the opposition, Mark Grantley, indicated that the absence of definitions in some sections could lead to unintended difficulties.
I'm telling you that absent definition, you're going to run yourself into problems with this legislation. No, but you see, it is not a zero-sum game with respect. I am not suggesting for a moment that it must lead us to inertia. That's the word I'm hearing. I am simply saying that as we talk about legislation in this House, as we debate legislation, we must be practical and recognize that if we create a framework that can potentially create problems down the road, then we are actually not helping the situation. Because here's what's going to happen. The Honorable Prime Minister or the Minister may well come back and be reluctant to say, "Boy, I stayed in the presidential suite." And in this day and age, our people are so alive to any suggestion. And then when you start to say that such gifts, favors, hospitality, or any other benefit do not include conventional and good faith hospitality, what does that mean? Conventional and good faith hospitality. So going back to my example of the Sheikh, he said, "But this is what I do. This is what I do for my guests. I'm a multi-billionaire. You don't expect that I could offer you anything less than a Rolex as a token of my appreciation and welcome." And then you say, no, I can't accept that. And he said, "But you're insulting me. In our tradition, we give a gift. And I think these are the things that shouldn't excite inertia, to use the word that the senator was using, but rather to tell us that we have to create legislation that is fit for purpose, and legislation that takes into account our shared experience after 39 years of independence as a new nation trying to find its way in this world.
According to the Attorney General, there will be other pieces of legislation passed to complete the good governance agenda. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
Hi, Tashawn Wilkin, the first assistant director here at MSR Media and a proud native of St. Kitts and Nevis. MSR Media established itself in the Federation 2 years ago, and in that time, we have produced 9 films in our beautiful nation with international movie stars such as Elizabeth Hurley, Kelsey Grammer, Marlon Ackerman, Connie Nielsen, and country music superstar Billy Ray Cyrus, seen by millions of people and promoting our island all over the world. MSR has recently purchased the OTI Hotel, now called the MSR Hotel, which will be our new headquarters and creative hub in the Federation. We are now expanding, and there's a job for you. So, if you want to work behind the scenes on a film set, send an email to jobs@msrmediaskn.com. We have 200 jobs for the 6 movies we are producing this year. Now, if you're interested in the world of visual effects, we are creating a VFX company. Because in the world of making movies, computer-generated images are crucial. So if you have computer skills and if you want a job in the high-tech business, please contact us as we are looking to hire 50 people with the computer skills for our new VFX division. There are lots of opportunities at MSR Media with 200 jobs to fill. So email your resume to jobs@msrmediaskn.com and join the MSR family today.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips. Nestled between evergreen mountains and the Caribbean Sea on the island of St. Kitts is the Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center. With breathtaking views, a rugged, beautiful shoreline, and immaculate manicured gardens make this the perfect location for your holiday, event, or wedding. With a large convention center, apartments with balconies providing stunning views, and a secluded cottage for larger family groups or honeymooning couples looking for some privacy. We have something for everyone. Book your stay at www.millhouseskn.com or visit our Facebook page, the Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center, an oasis of tranquility.
Online radio has never been this great. It's Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net. Tune into Voice of the Caribbean Radio for great Caribbean programs, news, entertainment, sports, and current affairs. Wake up each morning and be inspired with One Day at a Time with Kim Huey. Stay abreast with news across the Caribbean and internationally with the Caribbean News Hour, and be entertained with shows like Reggaeville, Caribbean Classics, and Jive Music Show. Visit our website, download our Android mobile app, or listen us on TuneIn Radio. There is so much more on Voice of the Caribbean Radio, reaching the Caribbean and beyond. Check website or app for program schedule.
Countries with Citizenship by Investment Programs, CBI, have to work together with European nations to ensure due diligence and to allay any fears about the program being a threat to national security. That was the view reiterated by social commentator and former government minister Dwyer Astafan during an interview on Freedom FM's Issues radio program Tuesday. His view come in light of a recent decision by St. Lucia to allow applicants from Iran to their program despite international sanctions levied against the nation by the US and Europe because of Iran's role in the Russia-Ukraine war. St. Lucia recently rescinded that decision.
We are fragile and we have to be able to finesse the monsters that we are dealing with. So it means sometimes you have to hold back on things that you'd prefer to do. I do hope that the St. Lucia Prime Minister and his colleagues prioritize working as a group, and then we can build our strengths from there and then see how things go down the road. But failing that, it's going to be increasingly difficult for us to get through the next couple of years in the CBI business.
The need to work together comes in light of concerns expressed by Europe that some persons were getting passports from Caribbean countries and some European nations who were possible threats to national security. Passport holders from Caribbean countries that offer a CBI program have visa-free access to Europe. Meanwhile, Mr. Astafan said the CBI program can continue well beyond 2025 if the necessary improvements are made. He expressed concern, however, about the quality of CBI applicants that have come through the system, suggesting they may not be of much economic value to the country.
Some of them are here already, looking to buy homes for in the region of $150,000 US. That tells me these are not people with money. But the system here was so vulgarized, mongrelized, that people were getting citizenship for $60,000 and $70,000 and $80,000 and $100,000. Which is below the legal thresholds. And so what do people like that have to offer? Now people want to leave certain countries because they might be afraid for their safety, don't think there's much of a future. But we are not in a position to give a leg up to poor people coming in here. Maybe people from the region if we're looking for labor and that kind of thing. But that has to be done in an organized manner. But not under the CBI program. It can last beyond 2025 and well beyond that. But we have to work hard as a sub-region to hold one head, and the head must be one that reflects that this is a good space in which to do business, good governance, efficiency, transparency. Because I don't believe those people out there want to close us down. They know we don't have mineral wealth, and they know we have to rely on something.
Andre Huey, Skn Newsline. The dust may have settled on the cable's Make-A-Wish for the Elderly project for 2023, but the feeling of satisfaction are still lingering. Over 100 senior citizens were nominated by a loved one or an organization who were presented the gifts on Valentine's Day. The cable has been the sponsor of this social outreach initiative for the last 5 years. Several residents of the Cardian home were included in the nominations this year. Pat Walters, CEO of the cable, said, "We were happy to grant their requests for personal gifts, which included items of clothing, shoes, a radio, and other gifts that brought them cheer. This annual endeavor, however, is more than granting a wish, but also acknowledging our senior citizens who were once our customers in the early years of this business." Staff of the cable received assistance in packing and distributing the gifts from members of the Rotary Club of La Amiga and the Care Foundation. They were recipients from nearly every community across the island who were touched by the care and compassion of this initiative. One senior citizen proclaimed how happy she was to see some of the staff whom she was fond of, but had not seen for a long time as she was no longer active. The cable has confirmed that this was the largest number of recipients to benefit from the Make-A-Wish for the Elderly initiative. The company has expressed thanks to the Care Foundation and Dreamy Decor for their valued contributions of care packages and roses respectively, and welcomed them as the first-time partners to the initiative. Along with the Rotary Club of La Amiga, they all assisted and contributed to the widely successful Make-A-Wish in 2023. I'm Andre Huey for Skn Newsline.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
Ah! What
would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and love and laugh and have fun and breathe?
Why are you hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar?
When I came here, I was at peace, and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
The Skn Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
Online radio has never been this great. It's Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net. Tune into Voice of the Caribbean Radio for great Caribbean programs, news, entertainment, sports, and current affairs. Wake up each morning and be inspired with One Day at a Time with Kim Huey. Stay abreast with news across the Caribbean and internationally with the Caribbean News Hour, and be entertained with shows like Reggaeville, Caribbean Classics, and Jive Music Show. Visit our website, download our Android mobile app, or listen us on TuneIn Radio. There is so much more on Voice of the Caribbean Radio, reaching the Caribbean and beyond. Check website or app for program schedule.
If you're looking for a place to host that special event, conference, meeting, social event, party, whatever the occasion, your best option is the Millhouse Convention Center in Palmetto Point, St. Kitts. Located on the picturesque Garvey's Estate, the Millhouse Guest House Convention Center has enough space for outdoor events overlooking the Caribbean Sea. If you're looking indoors, the center is equipped with amenities needed to make your event a success. And by combining both spaces, you're sure to have a memorable event, no matter the occasion. Call the offices at Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center to book your next event on simply the most beautiful place in St. Kitts. Call 668-1392. Millhouse Convention Center at Garvey's Estate, Palmetto Point, St. Kitts. Making your event memorable.
Rastafarians across the region are demanding for their respective governments to grant them restorative justice on a number of fronts. This coming from Chairman of the House of Rastafari in the Bahamas, Rithman McKinney, in a letter dated February 9th to Prime Minister Philip Davis in his capacity as Chairman of CARICOM. The first request made being land ownership.
And we feel as though that's how the government give land to all the churches and all the organizations. Rastafari should be able to get land also. We have a small portion, 8 acres in Fire Trail Road, and we need much more land for that, not only in the Bahamas, but all through the Caribbean.
He adds that more land is needed in the Family Islands for farming and building other Rastafarian communities. The group is also demanding that Rastafarian theology be legally accepted.
Over the years, we've been disrespected. Even at times, the police will come in, they didn't do it off late. But they used to come in even at top of the night about why doing service to interrupt us and search us for cannabis and just totally disrespecting our faith and our way of worship. So we want to be fully recognized and protected under the Constitution.
That said, the letter also asks for governments across the region to allow for the unrestricted movement of cannabis for sacramental use.
We've been profiled for over the years for the use of the cannabis. It wasn't something we hide and something we were scared to talk about. We keep on saying it's a herbal medicine and it's part of our sacrament, And now we see all over the world that it being recognized as a good medicine, and the benefits from it as being published. Quite frankly, Sacrament just need to respect it and protect it because it's part of our constitutional rights.
The community also demands the establishment of financial pools accessible to Rastafarian entrepreneurs. McKinney, in the letter, says that a specific negotiated amount of money must be allocated from the government and must be correlated to known economic costs for funding startups and innovative research into nature-based products.
Well, all that's a part of, we've been marginalized a lot. And even to get loan and get funding was very hard for the Rastafari community. Like the other day, they had the government gave out, I think, $400,000 to the Chichester for backyard farming, and they didn't really consider the Rastafari community.
So far, no government or CARICOM official has responded to this letter, but McKinney says they remain hopeful. And if there's no response, he says Rastafarians will continue to agitate for these things. Leah Cooper, Eyewitness News.
The reality of drought conditions in sections of the country has not gone unnoticed by the relatively optimistic heads of the central bank. Speaking at the Bank of Jamaica's first quarterly monetary policy media briefing Tuesday, Deputy Governor Robert Stennett notes the resilience of the agriculture sector despite the harsh dryness plaguing the nation, a suggestion that inflation projections should remain on track this year unless worse comes.
We are aware that sections of the island have been experiencing meteorological drought, in particularly the southern to the eastern section of the island appears to be having protracted drought, and this is data that is available to us up to November from the Met Service. We are also aware, however, that the main agricultural areas, while they are experiencing drought conditions, these conditions are not necessarily different from the 30-year average that we have been seeing, and therefore the conditions facing the farming communities in those areas are consistent with what they have been used to.
The Deputy Governor explains that the bank's projections are typically weatherproof, factoring fluctuations in agricultural prices.
The average monthly increase in agricultural prices for the past 5 years between February and December has been about 1.5%. When you take into account the volatility in agricultural prices, the average monthly change has been in that ballpark. Our projections, however, try to anticipate the worst, consistent on the current situation and the natural progression of global warming. So we have built in a little higher price increases in the forecast to which the governor referred.
However, he accepts that the inflation projection can be impacted under certain conditions.
Our hope is that there are no major shocks like hurricanes and so on. We don't account for that. And in relation to other food types like fish, we don't account for the impact of global warming and on the location of fishing grounds and so on. But as far as possible, the projections that we are seeing here that the governor outlines reflect a certain amount of conservatism on the part of the bank's projections.
Nika Lewis, CVM Live.
Well, the UK's Defence Secretary Ben Wallace says he'll consider sending more British tanks to Ukraine if they're used effectively. Mr Wallace was speaking after meeting Ukrainian troops training on the British Army's Challenger 2 tanks for the first time in the UK. Our correspondent Jonathan Beale reports.
Ukrainian soldiers used to driving old Russian tanks are now learning to operate British ones. This the first step on training vehicles at a British Army base in Dorset, where they'll be for the next few weeks. Some already battle-hardened, others about to fight for the first time. Like Grisha, who until a few months ago was driving tractors. He says he's sure these British tanks will make a huge difference. It's exactly these kinds of weapons we need to push Russia out of Ukraine. They're not just learning how to drive them and fire their guns, but also how to keep them running and maintained. all in a matter of weeks. But so far, they've impressed their British instructors.
They're incredibly bright. They pick up a lot of the more technical skills very quickly, which is easier to instruct.
Britain was the first to give Western tanks to Ukraine, not just tanks, but also these armoured vehicles they're looking at now, and also artillery pieces. Ukraine hopes they will arrive in time for a spring offensive. The British Army's Challenger 2 will give Ukraine more speed and accuracy and better protection. But they are just getting 14 of them. The question, will there be more?
I'd be open to giving more if we think that's the right thing to do.
Do you think it's likely you will give more Challenger 2?
I think let's see how these get stitched together and become a combined force, and then we'll see.
Ukraine's already won one battle, persuading the West to send it modern armour. But soon these soldiers will be facing a much bigger and more brutal challenge. A real war, trying to retake their territory from Russia. Jonathan Beale, BBC News, Bovington.
The First Lady of the United States, Jill Biden, arrived in Namibia Wednesday, beginning her 5-day visit in Africa. Upon arrival, Mrs. Biden was greeted by Namibian First Lady Monica Ginkos and other Namibian and United States government officials, then headed to the State House to meet Namibian President Hage Ginkos.
We met each other in December, and we're just continuing the relationship. And Monica and I think it's safe to say that we became good friends instantly. It was just one of those things where you meet somebody and you connect, and so we work on a lot of the same issues, and that's why it was important that I continue my work and come and show support for Namibia.
Madam First Lady, what do you hope to show Dr. Biden on her trip here? What's important to you?
Jill Biden's visit aims to support democracy, empower women and young people, but mainly cement the U.S.'s ties in Africa as actors like China and Russia gain momentum on the continent.
There's a lot in Namibia that we'd really like to show Dr. Biden. I know it's her first visit to Namibia. I know it's the first time an incumbent American First Lady has come to the country. And I think what she talked about was very true. It is a very vibrant democracy. We've got a very large youth population who drives that democracy very energetically. And it's fully enabled by our constitutional values, but also by the personal values of our leadership. You may not look at, but he's really the ultimate Democrat.
The United States First Lady is set to go to Kenya after Namibia, though the White House has withheld specific details of the First Lady's activities in each country, citing security concerns.
7 Newtown United players departed the Federation on Wednesday to Antigua and Barbuda to participate in the Calvin Ayre Foundation Player Identification Combine being hosted by the Generation Next Football Club, which will see them have opportunities to earn football scholarships to the US and Europe or pursue avenues to professional football. Skn Newsline caught up with the players and members of the club's executive at the RLB International Airport. We spoke to President of the Newtown Football Club, Kevin Welsh, and First Vice President, Jason McCoy.
As Vice President responsible for football operations for the Newtown Sports Club, Football Club. These are a great set of young guys with a lot of ambition. We were promising them that we're going to take them to the next level, and here it is. The opportunity has arrived for them within the next 48 hours, basically to go and show skill, what they have been asking for and training for a very long time. I want to say to the whole of East Bastille, the Newtown community, for giving us the full support and putting the trust inside of us to basically bring some sort of joy and contentment back again inside of the community. As you can see, we are on the rise again, and this is an opportunity for us to let our youngsters know that they are not just here for playing and playing and playing.
First of all, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Justin Dickey,
Shauna Lake, Scott Keynes for taking part in this initiative and getting exceptional young men out there to showcase their skills in this upcoming combine. It's a regional combine, basically plays for young men and women throughout the Caribbean. So we basically got in some contact during last year where we sent one of our young men to the UK, where he will be attending school there in this upcoming August. So we're taking that opportunity, we took the initiative to make sure we are giving this opportunity to several young men on the team. Some of them are very much eager, ready to take the next step in their careers, whether it be going to school, receive higher learning, or become a professional athlete.
The players spoke about their anticipation for the combine.
I'm really excited to gain the opportunity to go out there to represent the Newtown United football team and the Newtown community. They went through a lot and then they just keep the promise and give me the opportunity to make my family proud.
Thank the President Kevin Welch and the Chairman Justin Dickey for this opportunity and the club, so we can go there and do the best. Everybody else for the opportunity. Yes. Okay, represent the President Community Newtown Football Club. Yeah.
Are you confident? Do you think you'll do well?
Yeah.
Why do you think you'll do well? Mindset.
Yeah.
Okay. Team happy. Just want to go with the execute my talent. Just want to say thank you very much for the manager and the secretary. Here to represent the community, my friends, myself, and the whole entire island.
Well, this opportunity has me feeling energetic right now. I'm happy because this opportunity not only come from national, it come from my club. So this is an open opportunity for all of us to just be going to this trip to just do our best and see the best results. Well, personally, I hoping to get probably a contract overseas. Think I up the challenge because I have enough experience.
The 7 players attending the combine are Johannes Mitchum, Zarik Bradshaw, Landrick Jones, Kennedy Rodriguez, Caldre Liburd, Dagany Roberts, and Levanje Liburd. The players are expected to return to St. Kitts and Nevis this weekend. Andre Huey, Skn Newsline.
Welcome to the Skn Newsline Weather Report. I am Janil Boole. Here is a look at the forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. For a more detailed weather report, visit our website at www.sknnewsline.com.